Hello, so welcome to my lifestyle chat channel. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. It's part 4 of my timeline, chronological timeline. So basically, when I finished school, I was actually working in at the time it was called UGC Cinemas. No, it was called Virgin Cinemas, and then they changed the name to UGC Cinemas, and then now they call it Cineworld. So I was working as a box office cashier there in Chinatown, and actually I was saving my money to go. So I think I went to New York 2 times actually, because the first time I went it was a holiday, and actually this is the best holiday that I had, because I was with my family, who I love, and first time I went to New York, I just really remember walking around Manhattan and Chinatown, Little Italy, Central Park. I just really loved it. So that was the first time I went to New York. When I got back to the UK, I had a neighbour, this young lad who lived near us, and he was like, "Oh, did you see anybody famous? Did you see anybody famous? Did you see anyone famous?" And I was like, "No, I never met anybody famous." And I've never met anybody famous. I've met a few people who are famous, and actually I'll tell you now who I've met who's famous, okay? I never met anybody in New York who was famous, okay? But I'll tell you who I have met in my life who's famous, okay? So, who I've met who's famous, I'll tell you. Okay, Soweto Kinch. He's famous saxophonist from the UK. I know his dad. Yasmin Alexander, reggae singer. I've met her. She's a Jamaican reggae singer. Yasmin Alexander. Robert Beckford, I've met him. I've been on his radio show many years ago. BBC radio show. I only just recently found out that he lives in Solihull. He's from Solihull, and I didn't know that. Who else? Max Campbell, UB4 Ali Campbell's son. Who else have I seen? Oh yeah, and Katie Price. Many years ago, she was doing a book signing in Birmingham, and I went along to her book signing, and I was surprised she was very much more like feminine and pretty in real life than she was on the TV. She had a more softer look than she did have on the TV. I was surprised about that. Joanna Lumley. Yeah, I was saying, Joanna Lumley, she's done a book signing as well, and I think I bought one of her books and she signed it for me. And James Arthur, he done another book signing, and I went to one of his book signings as well. So, Joanna Lumley, James Arthur, Katie Price, Don Kinch, Soweto Kinch, Yasmin Alexander, some members of Steel Pulse, I met them as well. Max Campbell, who's Ali Campbell's son. That's all I've ever met who's famous, but none of them were in New York when I met them. I didn't meet them in New York. But regardless of not meeting anybody famous in New York, that was the best time of my life. I had the most fab holiday with my family, like I said, who I loved. So, what else? Yeah, so my timeline chronology. So that was when I was like, oh yeah, I went on holiday, came back, I was working at cinema, and went to college, as I said, really rare, left that college, really rare, went to another college, really rare, and then I ended up going to New York, really rare, came back home, like I was saying, because I wanted to go uni or performing arts school. So I made my decision to come back to the UK, spend 2 years to get my A levels, and then my plan was to return to New York to go to either performing arts school or to university to get my degree. That was my plan. That's what I wanted to do. So the other thing yesterday that I missed out was when I got back from America. I was explaining how like I worked in such and such a place, this place, that place. I forgot to mention that I worked in basically I went to where did I go? What did I do? Yeah, I came back about November time, that was it. And like November time I came back to England, and so I worked as a Christmas temp in Direct Smith, and then I worked in Darcy's shoe store as sales advisor. I forgot to mention also I went on the cruise ships, not the cruise ships, the ferries. I went on P&O ferries, and I was working on P&O ferries as like you know, when you go on, when you're traveling and you got your boarding pass. So in the mornings we had like 12-hour shifts. So when people were boarding, it was either like at night time or in the morning. I'd have to do like the greeting, yeah, of the passengers on the ferry. So check all the boarding passes. And on some occasions I was working in the boutiques department selling all the perfumes. And on other occasions I was working as a duty-free cashier in the duty-free section. You know, and people come and buy all their cigarettes and their alcohol and whatever else. So I was on the ferry that was going from, it's not Southport, from Portsmouth to Le Cherbourg in France. And I was on the one ship, the one ferry, for about 2 weeks, because when you do cruise ship work, you work like, I was working like 2 weeks on the ferry, and then you dock for 1 week and you spend a week at home, and then you go back on the ferry for another 2 weeks like this. So I was on the one ferry for 2 weeks. I came back home for the week, and I think I'd done that for about 4 weeks, something like that. And after the 4 weeks they put me on a different ship, on a smaller ship. And when they put me on the smaller ship, because the ship's smaller, I think I've explained all this in another video. The ship's smaller, so you feel the buoyancy of the ship more in the water, and I couldn't take it. I was kept getting like feeling seasick. So after like 2 weeks of being on that ship, I think I just had enough of that. I said I don't think I want to work on this work on the sea anymore. I want to work on land. And so I think altogether I did that job as well for about a month or 2 months. And it was when I returned, I worked in Bar Coast in Chinatown as a bartender. And so basically what I'm saying is between 16 and 18 I worked. Okay, I worked as a box office cashier. I worked on P&O ferries. Okay, I worked in New York, okay, as an accounts junior rep, or in advertising, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, as a sales advisor and a bartender, yeah. And I done all of that before the second time round I went to college to get my A levels. And 2 years, yeah, I spent getting my A levels: theatre studies, English literature, and media studies. Yeah, that's what I did. So leave your comment, let me know what you think. I'm sharing my lifeline, okay, my chronological timeline. So if you have any similar experiences, Yeah, if you have any feedback or any comments, leave your comment. By the way, also who I've met who's famous, Pato Banton and Graham Vick. God rest his soul, because I heard he passed away. Graham Vick, Ron Howell, if you want to class them as being famous opera directors. Gakwan, who I didn't meet him, but I saw him in, not the Touchwood Centre, in the Bullring City Centre. I was coming down the escalators and he just pounced out from somewhere. He was wearing all black and he goes, meow, like this. And I looked and I was like, oh, that's Gakwan. So I didn't even have to apply to be on one of his shows to see Gakwan. Because, yeah, sometimes he does the catwalks, doesn't he, in the Bullring City Centre. Anyway, who else? So, oh yeah, and Suzanne Verdi as well, newsreader. She does newsreading. Yeah, and her as well. And Rusty Lee, the famous chef off TV. Yeah, I saw her. Again, it was near Chinatown in a car park somewhere. And I think I was coming home from work when I was working in the schools. And she was there parking the car, whatever she was doing. And I was, oh, Rusty Lee. And I was like, oh, look. And she was like, oh, she goes, I didn't think, the way she talked, I didn't think anyone would even recognise me. I goes, of course I'd recognise you. It's Rusty Lee off the TV. I goes, I used to watch you all the time. When I was younger on TV, I used to do cooking. Of course I'm going to recognise you, So, yeah, that's about it. That's all the famous people I've ever seen or I've ever met. But apparently, Ainsley Harriott, the other cook, that other Caribbean cook chef off TV, apparently he's in Solihull every other week. Because every other week, they have this food market stall festival thing going on in Solihull. And I don't know how many times he's attended. And every time he attends, I miss him. So next time he comes to Solihull, I've got to make sure, I've got to do one of these ones and make sure I spot him and make sure he spots me. Yeah, I've got to remember to do that and say, hey, Ainsley. Yeah, point out to him and say, can I come on your show? I'll go, can you take me to Jamaica? Next time we go to Jamaica. Like this, I have to make sure, I make myself known. Yeah, that's what I have to do next time he's in Solihull. Yeah, but when I do that, I have to make sure that I've got on a dress, like this one, and that I've got on my nice high heel shoes, like this, and what I have to make sure that I do also is take off this, like, dark makeup, like, it's because I wouldn't want him thinking that I'm just some moody, depressed goth or something like this. Make sure that I wear a dress so that he doesn't mistake me for a bloke. Make sure that he understands I'm a woman. Yeah, do my makeup something like this, a bit lighter. Yeah, some nice light bright shades like this. See, we can do a little bit of a smoky look. It's just a bit smoke. We can have it a little bit smoky. Part 4 of my chronological timeline, and I will see you in episode 5. Adios, la clase, muy bien.